Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. So excited to be here. Thank you, Twilio, for having me. My name is Ayuna. We're going to talk about technical blogging to build your digital presence and how it can benefit your career as a developer, how it can help your hiring process, and how it also contributes back to the larger community and invites collaboration. So this is where I'm digitally present. My blog is at Medium at Ayuna's Code, and Twitter is the same handle. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. As Marcus said, I'm an iOS developer from New York City. I graduated of the Access Code program led by Coalition for Queens, or C4Q. It's a wonderful nonprofit organization based in Queens, New York. They provide full scholarships to talented adults from underrepresented backgrounds to learn mobile and web development. This is my class. It's very diverse, 40% women, people from all walks of life and all backgrounds. It's awesome. If you'd like to learn more or get involved, check it out at C4Q NYC, or the website is c4q.nyc. So a year ago, I did not have a tech blog, and I did not know how to code. Today, I'm speaking at the Twilio Signal conference, and if that doesn't convince you that technical blogging could be beneficial for your career, I don't know what else will. But I'll try. So why blog? As I said, I think it's really good for your career. I already gave you one example. It's good for your business, for your hiring. It makes better onboarding experience because when you have a company developer blog and you write about your company, your products, the problems that you solve, technologies that you use, and share interesting use cases, you get to promote your company and your products. It also helps to attract people whose interests are relevant to what your company does and whose goals are aligned with your company's. So makes better hiring, better onboarding, because when a new person comes, they have to learn your process. When you can refer them to a blog post where you describe how did you come about making those decisions and developing those solutions, it gives your new hires a better context, and it makes a better onboarding experience. When a person leaves your company, they take all your knowledge with them. When you have it written down, you have it forever. So I hope I convince you that technical blogging is worth your time, but let's talk about the technical writing side and why it is so hard. It is. It's really difficult to sit down and spit out like a big chunk of text. For me, everything is about mindset. If you don't believe that you can change the world, you can't change it, right? So I learned very well from people's stories, and when I hear someone say, oh, I did this and that, like at a conference, I think, well, this is very interesting. But I also think, well, if they could do it, maybe I can do it too. So today I'm going to share with you my story and how I go about technical blogging and what helps me to overcome blogger's block as analogy to writer's block. And I hope that you can take something away from it. I would like to ask you to take out your notepads or laptops or phones, however you like to take notes, and write down any thoughts and ideas as we go through this presentation, because later you're going to use it. So please take a moment to prepare, and please write down everything that you think about. All right, this is kind of a collective knowledge gathered over time, and this is what I hear times and times again from people who want to do technical blogging. Where do I start? I don't know what to write about. So there are tons of things that you can write about, and the first question that you should ask yourself is, what have you learned recently? What technology have you worked on recently that really excited you? You can write about events, hackathons, tech talks. You can write about Twilio Signal. A lot of people probably couldn't be here today, and it would be really interesting for them to learn about your Signal experience. Somebody taught you something. Maybe your colleague showed you a cool trick about a tool that you use all the time that you didn't know about. That's worth sharing. You taught somebody. That's especially important for junior developers, because as beginner programmers, we always think that everybody knows more than us. Everything was already written. There's nothing that we can contribute and share. That's not true, because until you volunteer to help somebody learn and you teach somebody, you don't know what you know that other people don't know. and what is of value. So I guarantee you, even when you work, like I work with very experienced programmers, I always hear like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So there's always something, nobody knows everything, there's always something that you can share and learn and teach. And last point, learn from your failures. Maybe you worked on a project, you messed up majorly, it was epic fail, but you learn a lot from that experience. That's worth sharing. Somebody can learn from your mistakes. So something like top 5 things that you shouldn't do when building a watchOS app or something like that. It's really, really interesting. I'm not an expert. All right, if you have a problem, somebody else has exact same problem. And if you had a problem, you Googled it, you couldn't find an answer, but you figured out a solution, you have moral obligation to share it. Why somebody else has to spend 2 hours of their lifetime figuring out exact same thing, right? And I'll give you an example. So this is a blog post that I wrote, how to push large files to GitHub. So something, again, as we were talking about digital presence, that I think is very important. I like to make videos of the apps that I make to show people what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and I put it on my GitHub. So I think it's also very important for you as a developer, if you're trying to build your digital presence, is put a nice README description, put some screenshots, put some videos, like make it easy for people to discover your work and what you do. So to not distract this, so I usually just push it to GitHub, never had a problem. This time I uploaded this video, it's rejected. So okay, I Google how to push large files to GitHub, right? And I can't find that solution. And I figured it out, like I came up with my own hack, but I couldn't find that answer. So I sat down and wrote a blog post about it. The other thing that I can guarantee you 100%, 1000%, that you will go back to your own blog post for your own reference. You have to figure something out, have to learn something. You don't touch it for a couple of months, you go back to it, you have to Google the same thing all over again, spend the same time. So write it down, and I guarantee you, you'll use it for your own reference. What if I'm wrong? Well, people will tell you. That didn't really happen to me yet, but I hear a lot from other bloggers that people could be really mean and they write comments like, your code is wrong. I think your attitude is the key here. You can have an attitude like, I'm scared, I'm not sure if what I write is 100% correct, somebody will point this out, I'm not going to write about this, I'm not going to publish this. Or you can have an attitude, bring it on. Teach me. I want to learn from you, right? And then when people comment and they teach you and you didn't have to lift a finger to gain that knowledge, that's like great, awesome. If they're mean, teach them how to be nice. Write a response like, thank you so much for your input. I'll incorporate that into my blog post. I appreciate it, right? But double check that they know what they're talking about. Again, you can add it. It's really easy. It's one-click button, and worst case scenario, you can delete it. Like it's not scary at all. Okay, I'm not good at writing, so nobody is. Nobody is born with a certain set of skills. Nobody became a great writer with the first sentence they wrote. You didn't become a great programmer with the first line of code that you wrote. So writing is the same skill as anything else. You have to practice and do it more times to get better at it. And this is blog post that I wrote, how to learn iOS mobile app design. And here I give examples of the projects that I'm working on that I also think is very important, and I'll talk about this more. But here, a short paragraph where I talk about that before I started programming, I used to say, I'm not good at design or whatever, fill the blank. But when I started programming a year ago, I was like, if I can learn this, I can learn anything. So I stopped saying entirely that I'm not good at something. I started saying, I just need to learn it. So writing is the same thing. The more you do it, you become better at it. And when you write your first blog post, maybe you come back do it in like a few months and you'll be like, oh my God, this is terrible. But the more you do it, you'll be better. And another tip that I have for you is I often find myself like when I sit down to write an email or like a blog post, that it becomes very formal and like very written style of communication. And that's not who I am and it's not how I talk. So what helps me is just to sit back and say it out loud. Try to explain it to your grandma or to your non-techie friend, because what you write has to be really easy to understand and very simple. And just write it down as you say it. So I think that's like the best strategy for the best blog post. I don't have any followers. Who do I write for? Well, that's great news. You can do whatever you want. So let's stop for a second. So everything that we talked about, I don't know what to write about. Who cares? Nobody's reading it. I'm not an expert. Who cares? What if I'm wrong? There is nobody to point this out. I'm not good at writing. Who cares? You can do whatever you want. You have complete freedom. So if you don't have any followers, like that's awesome. I don't have time. Okay, this is very hard, and I don't really have a good tip for you here, but I'll tell you a story. At Access Code, we have something called pods, which is small groups, 5 to 6 people, and we have weekly meetings where we set up our weekly goals, and then we check in next week, and it's supposed to hold you accountable. So I started my technical blogging after a talk, just like this. So I hope if you don't have a blog, you start too. And that week after that talk, at the pod meeting, I was like, my weekly goal, my goal for this week is to write my first technical blog post. And the next week, I came and I was like, that was too ambitious. My goal for this week is to write a first draft for my first blog post. And then the next week I came, I'm like, that was too ambitious too. Okay, my goal for this week is to write the first paragraph of my first draft for my first blog post. And that was doable. And I came next week, and that's like 1 month in. I wrote my second paragraph, right? And then third. And little by little, I wrote my first blog post and I shipped it, and it was great. And then, it led to this. So if you sit down with an attitude like, I'm going to write this blog post in like 30 minutes and you don't succeed, you're more likely to give up. But it's like everything else, if you split it up into smaller, doable chunks, then you're more likely to succeed, right? All right, so this is the most fun part, drafting a blog post. So everything that we talked about, I hope you were writing down some thoughts. So this is interactive. We're going to draft your first or fresh blog post. And I want you to write down one topic or a quick list of like anything that you would like to write about in your blog. So to go over it again, anything that you learned recently, any tech talks that you attended during Signal, you learn a lot. Just write like a quick list of things, or maybe one thing that you would like to write about in your next blog post, and we'll go from there. I'll give you like 30 seconds, and I'll let you know when it's up. All right, so another great thing as when you code, you should probably sit and think about how you're going to go about it. So just spend another 30 seconds and think about structure for your blog post. What are you actually going to talk about in that post? So the structure that I like to do is give a short background, like how did you come up about that problem, mention your project, very, very short intro, and then describe the problem, and then your solution. So take another 30 seconds. All right. So this is my personal tip to you. I think personal is always interesting versus impersonal is boring. So again, this is about building your digital presence and promoting yourself as a developer and getting the word out there about yourself and the work you do. So try to always incorporate your projects that you're working on into your blog posts. Use them as examples, mention them. So in that draft, that topic that you were thinking about, think about a project that you can use as an example and mention in your blog post. And something that I also think is really important is, everybody talks a lot about culture fit. So if somebody is reading your blog and let's just say something about you, who are you as a person? Who are you as a developer? What are you passionate about? What are your interests? What is your personality? So something that I mentioned about me thinking, like I used to say I'm not good at something, and when I changed my mind and I was like, I need to learn something, like flexibility of mind and being able to adapt quickly, something like that I think is really, really important. You may use it or not, but think about that blog post that you're thinking about and a project that you can mention and maybe something that tells something interesting about you. I'll give you 15 seconds. All right, so this is the most fun part. Just to give you a heads up, you won't stop talking, but I'll continue talking, and because we need to wrap it up. So feel free to carry the conversation at the bash party. But I hear some people say things like, oh, I have this idea, but I don't want to tell you because I'm afraid someone will steal it. I don't believe in this. I think if you have a project idea, a product idea, and you're not sharing with other people and you're not discussing it, you have only one perspective and one angle on your product. And your product is not just for you, it's for many different people. So when you discuss it, you get different perspective and different angles, and it can really enrich your idea and make your product idea better. So I think it's really, really important to discuss your project ideas with other people. So this is what we're gonna do. So I always say like, oh, I'm thinking to write about this. And then I stop there and I let people ask questions. Because this is what you want to write about. You want to write about what people want to know. So please make like a groups of 2, 3 people. And I'll give you 2 minutes, and maybe not everybody will have a chance to speak. But again, feel free to carry the conversation at the bash. Decide who goes first. I'll give you 1 minute mark to switch, and tell your partner what you want to write about, and let that person ask questions, and then switch again. Write down those questions. So, go. Switch. I know this is super fun. You'll be talking, but I'll continue talking. So again, continue the conversation later. So these are my tips. Write short paragraphs. If somebody opens a web page and they look at it as like long piece of text, like it's just like I don't want to read this. Use subheadings because let's say you're writing a tutorial, then people should be able to skim through and see what parts they already know, and they can skip to the parts that they want to read about. And break your text with like images, videos, screenshots, code samples, links as much as possible. If you find yourself being stuck staring at the screen, just take a walk. I hate doing dishes, but it's really great for creative process because it's very monotonous and like you don't do things, but your brain keeps going, right? And you think about like that sentence or your blog post, and it's like best ideas come during walking, jogging, like any kind of like hobbies that involve like, I don't know, crafting. So take a break, sleep, like it's okay to take a long time to work on your blog post. Where to publish. If you're new and you don't have like a website or a blog, Medium is a great place to start, medium.com. I'll publish these slides, everything is clickable, and I would really recommend you to cross-post your blog posts on LinkedIn Pulse. It's double work. You have to re-put all the text, all the images, all the links. It like takes time, but it's really great, again, for your digital presence because publishing on LinkedIn Pulse exposes your work to all your LinkedIn connections, and that's really great. Okay, you publish your blog post, you should share it on Twitter, again, on LinkedIn. If you don't want to do a lot of work, you can use Buffer app that you can schedule everything automatically. If you see here, you can pick Twitter, and these blog posts, I already scheduled it. It's going to go live after the presentation, and you can see the link to the slides at my Twitter at Ayuna's Code. And again, if you figure out a solution, please go back to Stack Overflow and post your answers. I know stories of people who found jobs through Stack Overflow. They were actually approached. So again, you won't get it was like overnight with your first answer, but little by little you build up that profile, and who knows where it leads to. To recap, nobody reads it. You can do whatever you want. You can add it. It's really easy, one-click button. Worst case scenario, you can delete it. Share your knowledge, have an attitude of learning from others. Build your digital presence, and who knows, it can lead to speaking gigs like this, or I know bloggers receive offers on publishing books. So it's really, really beneficial for your career. And at Twilio, they say, we can't wait to see what you build. I can't wait to read what you write. So please send me your stories at Ayuna's Code, at Twitter, or at Medium. Thank you very much.